So I know it's not Pride Month.
It's always Pride Month.
You know what? You're right. It's a whole Pride year. It just never stops.
Thanks to Chaperone, you know, she solidified Pride Month is all year round.
Dude, I love her so much.
Me too.
And I'm glad you brought her up because I was going to ask. I think we've mentioned it in episodes before, but doesn't it kind of feel like male relationships in books are so much more sought for than female and female relationships?
Yeah, I have noticed. But you brought something up. I don't remember what it was. You mentioned something. Oh, you mentioned that there was a creator that purchased a book and then wanted to return it because she thought it was going to be two guys in the love story, but it ended up being a straight love story.
That's weird. You know what? Like,
and then don't you remember that people were upset because, whoa, I'm totally blanking on the title of the show. First Kill,
the one with the V.E. Schwab one?
V.E. Schwab, yeah.
Yeah.
So there was a short story by V.E. Schwab that was turned into a Netflix series. And after the first season, it was canceled. But I mean, I feel like Netflix is canceling everything. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
And then when it was canceled, people were really upset on Twitter because they were saying, oh, but at the same time, Heartstopper keeps getting renewed. Or there's more praise for Heartstopper.
It's just so weird because even you had mentioned before, it seems as if male and male relationships are sort of fetishized.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely what it feels like sometimes.
It makes me sad.
It's hard. It's hard to say because obviously this is a difficult topic because we're not saying don't read it. We're just saying it's weird when that's all you want to read. And then, you know, we've seen people who will talk shit about like a gay love story if it's two women, or they just won't read it because they're not interested in it. And that's just weird. Like, why aren't you interested in it?
Yeah.
Two women can love each other.
Thank you. Happy Pride Year.
Happy Pride Year. It's weird.
Yeah, it makes, I think I talked about it on this podcast once, but that just really sticks to me with, it always feels like kill your gaze is something that's super big that I think straight creators accidentally write it most of the time.
Yeah, on accident, a little bit.
But it, to me, feels like it happens to women often in media.
It's almost like you have to make your gay love story tragic for some reason. Oh my god,
why the girlies?
The last time we talked about this, I forgot what episode it was. It was so long ago.
Yeah.
I brought up that there's a certain show that I was so pissed off about. Okay, it's very popular. I don't even want to say the title because it's a spoiler.
Yeah.
It's a very popular show, or was a very popular show, but I hated the ending because it's like it was two women. And it just kind of felt like, why does one of them always have to die? It's so annoying.
In order for it to be like impactful.
Yeah, and kill your gays. I when we had first talked about it, I didn't even know that was like a trope.
We talked about it when we did Gideon
the Ninth. Yeah, I think so, right? So kill your gays is basically just that trope of one of them not surviving.
Yeah.
And in a gay love story. And I mean, it happens with men too, but I just feel like not enough people.
They don't let women get a break.
They don't let women just love each other and it just be okay. No big deal.
I appreciate though that now books are becoming more, the relationship aspect of books doesn't have to be the main focal point all the time.
Yeah.
So if you are in a relationship in a book, then it's like, it is what it is. It's a part of you. And I don't know, it feels like more often I've been reading more books where they are just in a relationship with a man and a man, or a woman and a woman. And it's just like, yeah, that's just my life. And I'm like, okay, that's such a big step compared to where we were like 10 years ago.
Yeah, it is. And it's just accepted too. It's not a big deal or anything.
And, you know, they're still going to have like societal barriers, and you can see it in like the people that interact with them sometimes, but you can also see it in them where they've been like, I've been through this shit, don't give me that shit. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
and I mean, obviously not every place is gonna accept LGBTQIA stories, so I do understand that there is still an importance of being able to see a character like still having to cement who they are, and maybe their family not being super agreeable to it, because there are people who have had situations where their families don't accept them, but it is nice to be able to see more stories where it's just kind of like it's just a part of the story.
Yes. You had showed me something on Instagram the other day that kind of has to do with this topic, and it was
a while ago that I sent this. So
wasn't it a proposition?
So right now that the election is right around the corner
in America,
yes, in America, there was this whole page or post, I should say, that was talking about Project 2025, which is basically like Trump's plan if he is elected again as president. And I don't care that Trump says that he didn't write this. That bitch wrote it. He fucking wrote this. So basically there's a post that says, how will Project 2025 impact your freedom to read? Spoiler, it will eliminate it. So this post comes from Maggie Tokudahal. I'll post a picture here. Yeah. So do you want to read what the first or the second slide says?
Pornography manifested today in the omnipresent propagation of transgender ideology and sexualization of children has no claim to First Amendment protection. Its purveyors are child predators and misogynistic exploiters of women. This is the Project 2025 on page 5. So basically what they're saying is all LGBTQ plus content will be regarded as pornography. This is already the pernicious lie being used to ban books all over the nation. First Amendment rights will not apply, meaning we will no longer have freedom of speech to protect us. So they're saying that anyone who writes LGBTQ, whether it be considered a spice book or even like a children's book, that's going to be considered pornography?
Yeah, just because it's an LGBTQIA book. Do you remember that one book that was titled This Book is Gay?
Yes.
That book has been heavily banned. For example, I think it was banned in Florida, or they were debating whether or not to ban it in Florida. And I haven't read the book, but the way that people have described it, it's more of like an informative book. It's not really like a...
Yes.
Like a smut-filled book. It's just meant to teach.
Well, even that one book that a lot of kindergarten teachers have, it's the two penguins falling in love. They're two male penguins.
Oh, I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, it's no longer allowed in the classrooms.
But two male penguins do fall in love.
I know. And it's based on a true story. These two male penguins that never wanted to be separated.
They were in a zoo, right?
Yes. Yeah. There was that book I know about that's been banned. And the other one that's been banned is the one about crayons. And it was a red crayon and a blue crayon that are born. But the red crayon wants to be a blue crayon. So they let the red crayon wear the blue crayons like
the sleeve?
Yeah, and I don't know the rest of the story, but it's supposed to be talking about transgender, identity.
Yeah.
And that one is banned.
Really?
So I know a lot of books that are banned because it's very much like, this is what you're allowed to say and show kids. This is what you're not allowed to. And there's so many books that I think would help the youth right now that I can't have.
You can't show them.
No.
That makes me so sad.
Yeah, but we're now in a time where, I don't know, elections are so important. And I feel like you have to be very well informed before you vote because things like this feel like they get snuck by.
Yeah.
Because there's so many other big ideas that are being pushed for the elections where you're not really going to check what changes they're making to the First Amendment.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you need to actually like research it.
And then what happens to the authors of these books? Because some of these authors are writing children's books with LGBTQ. Does that make them sex offenders now?
Wow.
And then
I don't.
Does a teacher become a sex offender for having that book in their classroom?
I think that would be what it means.
That's
right?
crazy. That's crazy.
That is crazy. But
yeah.
oh my God, I don't know. Like, it's very scary to think about what our future could look like.
Mm-hmm.
So, register to vote if you live in the States.
Dude, I know.
It's really hard to segue out of this.
When concerning, okay, it's like if we had a chalkboard, just erase it off of your easel right now. I don't remember if that's what it's called. And then I just want you to write. I just want you to write big letters, all capitalized, women. You think a book about women can fix your life?
Yes, I do think so.
Thank you. I am your host.
Whoa.
Hello. Welcome to the Book Fix Podcast, a podcast where we fix lives one book at a time. I'm your host, Cheli.
And I'm your host, Yajaira.
And today we're actually not talking about a book. It's just about women.
It's just about women.
Welcome to the special episode
of women. Brought to you by women.
Brought to you by women. And you know what? Might as well just sprinkle a book in there. Today we're doing a recommended book.
Yes, it was recommended to us on our Instagram DMs.
Mm-hmm. Well, while you're looking it up, I had thought with the way the person worded this, I thought they were the author of this book.
Yeah, you did think. I did not see that at all. So this book was recommended to us by Zoe NG. They wrote us a really nice DM on Instagram, and I did not get the vibe that they were the author.
I did. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm nervous.
They literally said the author's name.
I'm nervous. Such a big person talking to us. Thank you, Zoe. You are big in my heart. I love the cover of this book.
What do you love about it?
So much. I love the colors. It's such a good vibe.
I'm going to post it right here.
Thank you. I just think that this cover is so pretty. And this is one of those books that I'd probably put in the corner of my coffee table so people could be like, wow, she read? Wait, is she a reader? Oh my God.
I do really like this cover too. I always love like the hand thing when you're trying to touch hands, but you're just a couple inches apart.
Don't even get me started. I just really like the colors. The vibes for this book too are really nice. I will say, going into this book, I put my expectations to 0. I didn't want to be too excited for this book, and I didn't want to be too disappointed. So I was like, I don't know anything. I'm just going in this knowing that it's an LGBTQ book. Don't know what it's about. So when we are brought into this world of where people are born with marks on their hands, I'll hold it.
Put a pin on that.
Okay. Whoa. Okay. I ran out of pins. So
bring back the pins. So this is a podcast where we would love it if people who have read this book sound off in the comments below and let us know what you thought about the story, what you thought about the characters, what you rated it. But you know what? We're also here for the girlies who have no intention on reading this.
Yeah.
So we do spoil.
But we spoil in a way where you're not sure if we're actually spoiling the book or something that's been locked in our minds and our hearts.
Or maybe the fan fiction we wrote on this book, because that's what it feels like sometimes. So, yeah.
Yeah, please join us for whatever this is going to be. So this book takes place in a world where your place in society is kind of dictated by whether or not you're born with this mark.
Yeah, so people are born with marks, and every mark represents a different thing. It could be like different elements. It's kind of like a variation of things. But it's not just the marks. I mean, it's great if you're born with a mark, right? It's a huge thing. But it's also finding your soul bond, like the other person that completes your mark. And
it makes you stronger when you find them too, right?
Yes, it does. So you're able to have more control of your power, whatever it is. And so once you make that soul bond, then that's when you're more, I guess, more powerful. But
you know what's kind of funny though?
What?
This felt like such a high stakes thing. Like, if I want to achieve my full potential, of course I'm going to have to find my soulmate and then just never really separate from them, you know? But then our main character, Ruti, she doesn't have a mark. She's a markless. And she is also like a witch.
Yeah, she is a witch.
So I'm over here like, wait, you're telling me I could be a witch and just kind of be on my own my whole life?
But it looks like, from what I understood of the story, you're not really like born into being a witch. You could just learn.
Yeah.
You could just learn it.
I looked it up on YouTube.
Look up
casting spells.
Look up some YouTube shorts.
Yeah, I'm singing a little ditty and now the gods are like, slay.
Dude, literally, I love that her power comes from song because it gave me such Little Mermaid vibes. I don't know, like that's kind of like what I wanted.
I kind of wished I was such a... Because she only sings. I say it like it's such a small thing. She only sings. She has powers that come with it because she sings in order to ask the gods for something. So let's say someone is asking for like
food.
You sing a little ditty like, bring them some Subway. And the gods are like, okay, you know what? You sang that so well. Here's some Subway.
But it's so funny because you also have to offer something along with your song, and she could
some Subway, but take their firstborn.
Oh my God, no! It's like little rocks or little plants or whatever.
Yes,
but I did like how it mentioned that she could feel if the gods did not approve of whatever it is that she was offering, or if what she was asking for was like beyond what they could provide, if or what they wanted to provide. So I like that aspect of the book.
I just think it's funny though, like where in such high points of stress later when she's singing to the other main character, trying to do what they're trying to achieve in the book. I think it's kind of funny how stressed you could be, but she's over here like fucking humming Beyonce. That's just like
Crazy in Love. But like the slow down version. I fucking love that so much. Oh, but I do want to bring up that in the beginning of the story, Ruti is like 6 and she witnesses a soul binding. And I thought it was interesting that she witnesses this. And I think it was like a grown up with a child, right?
Yes.
So it doesn't always have to be romantic. It could literally just be like transactional and that's it. Bye. And she witnesses that they just part ways and they never see each other again.
That's wild.
Yeah. So.
But does that mean your power is still fully achieved? Because you met?
Yeah. You just have to meet. You don't have to stay
weird.
Together as like partners in crime or whatever the fuck.
That's so weird to me. But it's also very sad because Ruti talks about this feeling like, I'm never going to know what that feels like. And there's so many...
She got FOMO.
I do. I know. drawing the mark with a Sharpie.
She would draw.
She would draw it for others. She wouldn't really do it for herself.
She said she used to draw a mark on herself and then she would do a little incantation, a little song, if you will. And then it would show up as like a temporary mark, basically. Yeah. But to other people, they would see like, oh, she's marked. Cool.
But there was this one conversation she has at the beginning where this boy's like, can you please just do a temporary mark on me? Because my parents, they are marked and they live in like the kingdom basically. And I want them to see me because they obviously want me as a kid. And she had to be like super blunt and just be like, they don't want you. You don't have a mark. What are you going to do for them?
And the markless have to survive in the slums. So they're very... Is that ostracized? Yeah. Like they're just completely separate from society. So even when there's like merchants around, and it's crazy to me because I don't know, like to me, merchants is just kind of like a, like anybody can come in and whatever, get your food, get your corn, whatever. But even the merchants will be like, no, Mark, get the fuck out. Get the fuck out of here.
I just want corn.
I know.
I don't get it. So Ruti. She takes in this child one day whose name is Kimya.
Well, she names her Kimya.
Kimya is also a markless that was just living in the slums. She
was in an orphanage.
But she was walking by because didn't they meet in the streets?
Well, she was being bullied.
Yes.
And then she saves her and then Kimya's kind of like following her around.
Does Kimya not speak?
No.
No, she doesn't.
She doesn't speak.
Yeah, so... I love that she just adopted a daughter.
Well,
right at the very beginning.
Well, no, don't you remember in the beginning she had adopted somebody else? She was watching someone else, but they passed away.
Yes, she mentions too that she does that often.
Yeah,
she takes in people, but they never really stay.
Yeah,
the person before had stayed the longest.
Mm-hmm. So she didn't really want to adopt anybody else because she was very reluctant with Kimya. I think because she was so young.
Yeah. But Kimya didn't go.
No, she stuck around.
I loved Ruti and Kimya's relationship.
Me too.
In this book so much.
Yeah, they were so cute. I love the sisterly bond that they formed.
Yeah. So, main point of the story. We have in this world a kingdom in which the princess, her name is Princess Dekala, is supposed to meet up with a bunch of men because she has a mark and they really want to pass down the kingdom to her. But in order to pass it down, she needs to soul bond with whoever her partner is going to be. So they're bringing around all these princes, hoping that one of them will soul bond with her. But
she has no interest in that.
She doesn't want to.
She doesn't want that. She wants to rule by herself. She wants to be a solo independent queen.
And I'm not going to go into details, but just know that she learns about.
Well, it's because they capture them. Because don't you remember that Ruti and Kimya, they're like in the Merchant Square, and Kimya steals Dekala's ring, and so they
pawns it off.
Yeah, pawns it off, and so they end up catching Ruti. And so she's a prisoner, and Dekala's brother is like a big role in the story as well because he's the king. Yeah. For now. And he really wants her to get married and find somebody. But then they witness that fucking Ruti knows how to sing. And so she sings a little bit and manages to escape. And so that's how Dekala witnesses her power. Isn't that so funny?
I just can't. I've been really into listening to Beyonce recently.
Oh, so I'm picturing just Beyonce?
Yeah, she's just sitting in her cage. I woke up in the kitchen. She's like having a moment, and they're like, "Damn, oh my God, look at that!
She's so talented."
So
no, you know what's so funny? I didn't really picture any like songs in particular, but just based on the way that the story was written, I pictured it to be super dramatic, just like almost like Ariel's, like the song that she does when Ursula's stealing her voice, like just the long notes. Like that's just what I pictured.
That's so funny because I pictured the exact opposite. And I'll get into that more when they get into their journey. But Dekala basically sees that Rudi's a witch and is like, you know what? I will let you live here if you become my witch. That's it. That's it. No, nothing else. And you have to do something super secret for me. No one can know about it. I guess you can bring your daughter Kimya with you.
Sister. She doesn't think she's your daughter.
To me, she was.
She's so young.
Bring your sister.
Wasn't Ruti like 17?
I think so. Bring your sister, I guess, but you have to do something for me. And Rudi's like, okay, it can't be that hard. Sing a little ditty and then live here? Sure. And it's like, no, the ditty you have to sing has never been dittied. It's supposed to make it so that my mark will not go off when I meet my soulmate, my soul bond. And she's like, that's not something you can ask for.
Yeah, that's beyond her control.
I don't care. You sing that Beyonce cover and you make it work. So Ruti accepts. It never works. I just want to say that now. It never works.
No.
So what was the point of this?
There was like no way that it was going to work though.
Yeah.
Because like I already explained, sometimes when she's offering shit up, they're like, that's not good enough. Yeah. So she's asking to do something that goes beyond, like, I guess, nature or whatever the fuck. So it's just impossible for her.
You know what I kind of wished? I'm going to pull that pin out that you put earlier and I'm going to put it in here because it's something I want to discuss. What I thought was going to happen in this story was that she was going to realize that to be soulbound is such a life-changing thing. And that's your peak. That's your peak power. And you can never experience something like that if you don't have a mark. I thought the only way to figure this out was to make Dekala Markless. I thought she was gonna take the like.
That is so funny that you said that, because my prediction was the complete opposite of that. I thought that somehow fucking Ruti was gonna show up with a mark. I thought like she was just gonna be like, "Whoa, look
what it looks like."
That. I thought when they first kissed, I thought, "Whoa, she has a mark now."
I just wanted. I get that, but I also just wanted them to realize, I guess, that to be soul bound to someone doesn't have to have a physical change, you know? Mm-hmm. So if for some reason Dekala had ended up markless and hated it, but then like kissed Ruti and was like, you know what? I don't feel it here. I feel it in my heart. Mm-hmm. I would have loved that shit.
But
it didn't happen
that
like
would
that.
go against nature too, though.
That's
to take off your mark.
But I feel like taking away is easier to ask for than to get.
No, you mean we're talking about blocking the soul bond.
No, I'm talking about like completely erasing the mark.
No, but that's never been done before, though.
They should have done it anyway.
But the soul bond wasn't blocked, though.
I know.
So like that wasn't even on the table.
It should have been.
I don't like the idea of stripping my girl from her power.
But then you see that the power is the friends we made along the way.
Literally.
And the Beyonce songs we covered along the way.
We can't even play Beyonce because
when we sang Lemonade on that beach, I knew you were the one to color.
They would be copyrighted so fast. Impossible to do that.
So they go on
a little trip.
They go on this little trip where they have to go talk to other witches, right? Is that the point of their trip?
Well, first, Ruti is staying in the castle with Kimya as well. And I thought it was interesting that all of the servants were kind of just like, oh, wait, you're markless? Okay, chill. Right. Cool.
I mean, if Dekala's chill with it.
But also, Dekala has a lover. Oren.
Yeah. How'd you feel about Oren?
I actually liked Oren.
I do.
I really liked Oren. But I mean, when he was first introduced, I was like, oh, this guy is stupid. But like, stupid because I knew that she didn't actually love him. Like, I knew.
Dude, I was shook at that revelation. I was like, no. Something about this guy.
You thought it was a love story between Oren and Dekala?
Yeah, I just kind of like him awkward and strange. That's
their ship name is Decorin.
You know what? Suddenly it's not my favorite.
Oh wow, you prefer Orkala?
Yeah.
No.
But she didn't want to soul bond, and she wanted to end up with who she wanted to end up with, which was Oren, and that was her main bodyguard. Slay. That's my fave.
That is a good trope.
I don't remember the point of the journey that they go on, but I do know that Ruti, Dekala, Oren, and Kimya go on this journey. Is it to go talk to other witches?
Don't you remember that they had made a journey because they wanted to find the witch that taught Ruti how to be a witch, basically.
Oh,
and it was an old man.
Yeah, you're right.
So he was old when he taught her. Mm-hmm. So she already knew that he was going to be alive, but they still made the journey, and they ended up finding somebody else. Right? It was like not a child, but a young man.
Yes.
And I think he helped them figure out that if they were to travel to a lake or a river, I think it was a river, they would have to like put the river, like the water in a bottle, and they could offer that to the gods for,
and maybe it'll work.
Maybe, like, they don't even know for sure.
It's so funny that this story was built on so many maybes. Also, I couldn't stand. That's basically the point of the trip. They go do this trip, they walk back to the river, and then they walk back to the kingdom. Doesn't matter how they got there. Doesn't matter what happened in between. There's one part I want to talk about, but hold on to it. There was one scene in their trip where they were ambushed, I think. And Dekala's a fighter. So she's out here fucking fighting. And Oren, too, he's a bodyguard. He's got his shit together.
And I think his power is lightning.
Yes.
And hers was wind.
And Kimya, I think, hides, which is fine. I think she hides with, like, the horses. Whatever. Doesn't matter what's going on there. I'm just embarrassed.
Why?
Like secondhand embarrassment. Imagine seeing a fight and you're like, all I could do is sing.
Oh my God, you're
what
right.
What do I sing?
Oh my God, so much pressure. I've never sang for my life.
It's just them fighting and her singing the "You're gonna go far, kid," and it's like, what the? Why are you singing emo?
Where are you?
Oh, shit, keep going, Ruti. Fucking killing that shit.
Wow, I didn't even think about
I
that.
thought about it because there was one part. I think it was when they were fighting, and she was singing in order to like protect them. So just imagine, like, I don't know,
because she put like a force field around them.
Yeah, let it go. So she's singing over here, and then for some reason, Dekala and Oren started singing too. And I'm just kind of like, excuse me, it's actually not a trio. It's not a duet either. From what I remember, Elsa sang by herself in the song. Thank you very much.
It's like, I'm not doing for the first time in forever. I'm doing Let It Go. That's a single. It's a solo.
That shit hurt me.
That's
I
so
actually
fucking
had
funny.
to like put the book down for a bit, and I was like,
I don't think I even processed that they were singing. I was just kind of like, yeah, in unison,
Yeah.
choir. No, well, the choir comes up later on, so maybe they wanted to do a little foreshadowing.
I hated it so much.
But I think it helps her like amplify her voice.
That
was the point. That was the Well, I think the gods might like a little.
I don't know any of the words to Beyonce. I'll just try my best. To the left, and he's like, to the.
He's like, wait, slow down.
Hold on, fuck. Let me write the lyrics down on my arm. Yeah, I couldn't stand that shit.
But yeah, I kind of agree with you though, where the whole like trip did feel kind of pointless.
Yes.
Because so don't they go back home?
They get caught and then they're forced back home.
Well, no. First they go back home, and then that's when, suitors are coming in, and fucking Ruti starts pretending to be Princess Dekala, which, I mean, girl grew up in the slums. She does not know how to be prim and proper. And so she's over here, obviously, like, kissing these boys, and nothing happens because she's Markless.
Yep.
And I forgot why, but all of a sudden, they have to run from the brother?
Yes. I don't remember why either.
I don't remember. Oh, I think because he's going to bring a prince, right? Torvin? A prince is going to come, and they're like super sure that this is her soul bond.
You're right.
And she being Dekala is super scared, and she's just like, no, you know what? I got to go. I got to run because I'm not doing this. And she realized that she is powerless to do to block the soul bonding.
Before that, too, on their trip back home, Dekala and Ruti had a moment in one of the the saving boats. I forgot, lifeboats. I don't know why I call them saving boats.
Same shit. I mean,
they had a little moment in a lifeboat.
Mm-hmm.
They kissed while Ruti hummed Ariana Grande.
Oh my God.
One last time. Like, Ruti, you're ruining the moment.
Yeah, they kissed. But I remember this book being a like slow burn because Ruti hated Dekala in the beginning because obviously Dekala was not very nice to her. So it was a slow burn.
It was a slow burn to the point when they kissed. I was also just kind of like,
wait, don't we hate her?
I know, wait.
Aren't we mad at her right now?
Why are you humming into her? Why are you whispering sweet nothings into her ear? A little weird. Yeah, so it didn't really hit me until near the end of the book when Dekala was like, there's no point in me trying to hide from my soul binding anymore. Thank you. I'm just going to go deal with it. Like, there's nothing else we can do. And then she totally just...
But she doesn't really have a conversation with her. Not really.
No.
Because Dekala completely switches up. She switches up on everybody. And so now she's talking to Torvin, which is the prince of whatever kingdom. And he's very smitten by her. So they're kissing and shit. Or no, they're not kissing.
No, I think they do.
Is it like a different kiss? Is it like a different kind of kiss? More passion?
Yeah, but they don't touch hands because they don't want to. So they're like, hands out.
Hands behind their backs.
I think it's so funny how throughout the entire book, Ruti and Oren never saw eye to eye. But they
until the end.
They're both like, I fucking hate this bitch. How can Torvin just do that?
Torvin. They hated Torvin.
They hated Torvin. Mm-hmm. They would never hate Dekala.
Yeah.
I love that. I loved Oren and Rudi's friendship near the end.
Me too, but can I just say I was getting secondhand embarrassment with Ruti when she would witness Dekala and Torvin like having dates or whatever, and she would run and be like, "This man is putting Markless as slaves," and they would be like, "Okay,
everyone,
no one likes the Markless.
Listen to me." All the lights go off. One light on her.
Save the Markless.
Now listen to this little ditty I wrote. She pulls out a fucking keytar, you know, the ones you blow air to.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you know her and her covers.
Dude, I felt so sad for her.
I felt sad for her too, but at one point I was just kind of like, I would have given up.
Yeah, no,
by
me
this
too.
point, you're so patient.
Like she
doesn't wait for Dekala.
She had no reason to stay really. Until fucking Torvin wanted to mess with her, and Kimya goes missing, and she knows that Torvin had something to do with it.
Yes, and I forget what Torvin like sent her to a place where all the Markless live, right?
She was banned from the kingdom, and they threw her into like some hole or something
where you can buy Markless as slaves.
Yeah,
right?
and so this part kind of felt almost like fantastical. I don't know how to describe it. It gave me like Coraline vibes, like, you know, when they're like crawling into the hole.
Yeah.
And then that's where the other Markless were hiding. And she meets them, and
I don't know.
They build a relationship, I guess. And she starts asking everyone if they had seen Kimya, but she just obviously described what she looked like.
Yeah.
But nobody had seen her, so she was convinced that she was still in the castle then.
Which she was, but she was with Torvin's people. I'm going to skip ahead to the very, very end.
Before you skip ahead.
Okay.
There is a scene where they first hook up. Do you remember that scene?
No.
You don't remember that scene?
Oh, I thought you were talking about Torvin. Dekala and Ruti.
Yeah. So she still hadn't found Kimya, and she's back in the castle, and she's trying to talk to Dekala, like, Dekala, please listen to me. This man is bad news. And Dekala's not listening to her. She's kind of just like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't care. I'm going to marry this man. I'm going to kiss him soul binder.
So much.
Kiss him a lot. But then they end up kissing, and then, you know, they do other stuff. And
it's funny because Dekala walks out of her room, and one of the maids is just like, I'm not gonna ask. I'm not gonna ask.
You're fine, and I'm not gonna tell.
But near the end, you need to explain to me what happened, because I know that Dekala and Torvin's hands touch, and then they both end up soulbound to each other.
So it worked.
But what happens next?
So what had transpired was that when Dekala and Ruti hooked up, they came up with a plan. So this was confusing to me because Ruti was acting like she had no idea what was happening.
That's why I was confused.
Because she was still acting like a jealous girlfriend even after this. But they came up with the plan where they were going to use the lake water. The river water. Because the river water is like dangerous, so it burns people.
Yes.
But you can also use it as an offering, right? And so they offered to the gods the river water in order to bring back Torvin's brother, which was the rightful king of his kingdom.
Yes.
And he was still alive, but he was in a coma. And there was like rumors about what had happened to the king. And the way that Torvin spun the story was that, oh no, he just fell ill, pobrecito. But it was actually him who had done something to his brother for him to be in a coma. So nobody would know that. Yeah. Only the king. And so while they're, doing their soul binding, fucking Ruti is over here singing a little ditty. And then the king shows up, the rightful king shows up. Yeah. And that's when Dekala's like telling Torvin, oh, I know that you're not actually who you say you are. I know that you were just trying to use me, but I mean, samesies, me too. And Torvin, it like turns into like a whole battle, because I remember Ruti singing and everyone singing with her again, a whole choir. All of the Markless were there singing with her, and Kimya was there.
Can you stand up?
Shut up. Kimya was there, and Torvin was gonna like attack.
Yeah.
I don't remember who he was gonna attack. Maybe Dekala. But then Kimya throws the river water on him, and it kills him because of how dangerous it is, because it burns skin. And that's how they defeat the evil. And at the end of the story, just to wrap it up,
Dekala is now the rightful queen. But she doesn't marry Oren. Oren, actually, he had soul binded with someone in the past. But
wasn't he the one that they had showed in the beginning?
I think it... No, it wasn't him. Because he had soul binded with a girl. And then they just kind of went their own ways. But it turned out she was one of Torvin's people.
Oh.
One of his bodyguards. Yeah. So they ended up together. And Dekala just was alone. And Ruti... every once in a while they would just like hook up, like very friends with benefits type thing. But Ruti wanted more, and Dekala just tells her like, you can never expect more out of me.
And the reason why Dekala was this way, and I do like this backstory, because when Dekala opened up to Ruti, I kind of really felt for her. Yeah. She basically told her somewhere in the middle of the story that she never wanted to find her soul-bound person, because she never wanted to give in to love. She didn't want to spiral because of losing her love, because she witnessed her, I think it was her mother that passed away, right? And it completely derailed her father, and he was a different person because he lost the love of his life. And so that was why Dekala had decided, you know what, I don't want love, I don't care for it, I don't want someone to have that much power over me.
And so she tells Ruti that you're needed where all of the other Markless are, where they were having like the Markless slavery trade.
No, she doesn't tell her, someone else tells her, someone else in the council.
But Ruti tells her that, like, I'm going to this. And Dekala doesn't really say anything. It's just kind of like, okay.
She kind of presents it as like well, do you want me to go? Because they're having this friends with benefits relationship, but she knows that Dekala does want more with her. Yeah. But she's very cold. So she asks her, do you want me to go? And Dekala's just like, well, if you want to.
It's up to you. And at the very end, when Kimya and Ruti are leaving, Dekala runs out and is like... I have a song for you.
She's the one who's singing instead.
Is that Beyonce? No, she basically tells her, like, I want something with you. And she stays. Yeah. And they live happily ever after. The end.
The end. Go ahead, Queen.
How did you feel?
I felt very torn. I really did like Dekala, because at first I couldn't fucking stand Dekala. I was like, Dekala is such a bitch. I can't stand her.
And I also couldn't stand Ruti during her whole jealous phase.
That is so funny. I thought you loved jealousy.
I do, but she was kind of pathetic.
I get it.
Oh gosh.
So yeah, so there was a lot of moments where I was getting secondhand embarrassment, especially in the jealousy moments near the end. But I did really care for the characters and the relationships that they formed. Like, I also really liked Oren and Ruti's relationship, because I thought it was funny, because he was still in love with Dekala, but he was kind enough to kind of let her go, because he witnessed that there was love between Ruti and Dekala. So he was kind of just like, counting my losses then. It's cool. And then I thought it was funny when she was being cold with Ruti, and he was like, damn, I've been there. I know what that's like. And obviously I really liked Ruti and Kimya's like sisterly bond, because Ruti was very persistent, and she would do anything to find Kimya, like at the end when Torvin had her. And I did grow to like Dekala and Ruti's relationship, because there were moments where I was like, damn, girl, stand up. Don't embarrass me like this.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's certain things of the plot that I wish were different.
I think the biggest thing for me is I wish that the trip they went on meant more.
But it did. They did use the lake water, river water, whatever the fuck it was.
That could have been obtained differently. Like the whole trip, I wish there would have been more moments of seeing each other as people and not just like, wow, vulnerability because we share a bed and that's Dekala. And it's like, but I want more than that.
She grew to respect Dekala because Ruti hated Dekala in the beginning, but during this trip she grew to respect her because she saw how well of a fighter she was and how she treated Kimya, because that was a big thing to her.
I don't know. To me, that wasn't enough. I really liked that one scene, and it was near the beginning of their journey when they were still in the slums where Ruti had once lived, when Dekala gave a shilling to one of the kids, the Markless kids, and then they all swarmed her, and it kind of just hit her like, oh, like, I guess I can't really do that because it's now everyone's going to ask. I don't know. It just felt very like she's never been in a situation like this. And for her to finally be humbled to the point, like, you just need to mind your own business and walk right now because we're trying to get something done. I really wish there were more moments like that where she could just kind of see like, this is the reality everyone lives right now. I kind of wanted her to live that reality for a bit, but she never really did. But
that's why I wanted her to be Markless.
I did. I wanted it to not matter to her.
That's one of the tropes I hate, was when they lose their power.
I want that shit.
I don't. I'm so glad that didn't happen. Actually, you know what? I give it another star just because that didn't happen. Thank you, CG. Did we say the author's name of this book? I don't think we did.
CG Malburi.
Sorry about that.
Sorry, it's because we love the cover so much. I think overall, I'm happy to the person who recommended this to us because I love the cover, but I haven't seen anyone talk about this book.
No, me neither.
I don't think I would have picked it up for myself. I enjoyed reading it.
Oh God.
But there's just so much I wish that would have happened differently. That being said, I think I would give it like a 2.5.
Okay. I think I would give it like a 3.5.
That's pretty high.
I really like the characters. I had issues with the plot. I think if I were to rate it on Goodreads, I'd put it at a 3.
So you're okay with them having an entire fucking moment at the end singing together?
I actually thought that was beautiful.
Everyone clap.
Because it was all the
some kind of love.
You know what it was giving me? And what? I think that's why I liked it. Because
Go ahead.
You're making fun of me.
No, I'm not. And go ahead.
It gave me the same vibe as Pirates of the Caribbean. I think it was the second one. In the beginning, when the pirates all sing together as they're being hung. Shut the fuck up, Cheli.
That scene's actually really sad.
I love how the solidarity, you know what I mean? Like, I love
unity in song.
So I think that's why I really did like that part. I understand why it's cringy though, but I liked it.
Meanwhile, I'm over here like ending of Trolls 3. Rudy's witnessing death and murder, and she's like, "Everyone, put your phones up." Put your lights on.
You love trolls. Why didn't this work for you?
I do, but it's just like, I don't want to see.
Why? Because it's a girl and not a troll, not an ugly troll.
I've never called one of them ugly. It just didn't feel right to me. It didn't feel like it vibed. And the secondhand embarrassment I would get if someone else was singing and I'm like, thanks, but you're not a witch.
I think you get easily embarrassed.
Yeah. I'm embarrassed right now thinking about it.
That's so fucking funny.
And it's funny because like with my type of job, I'm not supposed to be embarrassed like ever. So there was this one time.
Oh my God.
There was this one time we had a public speaker come to talk for the kids. And I guess they didn't bring their hype people, which is like, that feels like a weird thing to forget. And they were like, so we wanted to ask all of you a adults here that work here, if we play music, if you could just run around and hype up the kids. Wait. Me?
What do you mean run around?
Wait, hype up. Explain.
That's not in my vocab.
So
no.
yeah, so
don't get me wrong.
Imagine me, okay? Imagine me, an adult goes, yeah, we just need you to kind of like sing and dance for the and.
No, I can't do that either. I can't.
So I'm over here like I am about to go crazy, but this is my job. I get paid for this, so I'm gonna do the best I can. So we're standing there waiting for the music to start. Okay, everyone's sitting on the edges. We're standing in the center, and we're all just kind of looking at each other like, I guess this is what we do. Fucking Pharrell Williams' Happy comes on.
That's the perfect song to hype up children. You don't like that song?
Well, now, because I've heard it so often, I'm like, oh, it's part of my
life.
in my veins. Fucking that song playing in the background, and I'm just like, yeah, everyone, hands up.
You wanted to die.
So I guess the reason I don't really like Ruti singing is because when I look at her,
I see myself. Don't get me wrong, like that shit would embarrass me too. Like if I was in that position and I had to hype and what am I, a fucking DJ? No,
that's not me.
But I like seeing the unity, like you said.
No, I do too. I've had moments where song brings me together, and
just me.
I know it puts my pieces back together. No, I've had moments where like I have a video of me singing with my kids, and the last time I watched it, I cried. So there is that, but I guess it just depends on the song.
It has to be a good song. That's why. See, you were picturing the wrong playlist. That's why.
No, you're right.
It's all on you.
Hold up. 2.5. Change that to a 5.5.
Oh my God.
It's over.
You're such a liar. 5.5?
Yeah, it goes over it. It goes over. Good for her. I would say 2.5, but if I were to rate it on like Goodreads, maybe a 3.
Okay, I think
I'd be okay with that.
A 3 on Goodreads as well.
Well, that being said,
thank you so much for requesting this,
yes.
Zoe.
Thank you.
It was fun to talk about.
If you are listening to us in audio form, whether that be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or anywhere you get your podcast on, thank you so much. If you can please leave a review. You do that by clicking our name, and it like takes us to our main page. You can do that right now, and then just clicking 5 stars. That would be amazing. Also, if you would like to leave a recommendation, please just let us know what you want us to read next. We are currently accepting spooky requests because it's spooky season. I've already started reading some spooky books, and I'm scared all the time. So
that's so funny.
That's me. If you want to support us and they have a little bit of extra money, what can they do?
So we do have a Patreon, and at the moment there's not a whole lot on there, but if you just want a way to show that you appreciate how much we post, you can find us on patreon.com/bookfix. But if you don't want the commitment of monthly, then you can find us on buymeacoffee.com/thebookfix or coffee ko-fi.com/thebookfix.
If you want to support us on YouTube, first of all, thank you so much. If you're watching, if you can like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell because we post every Tuesday and Thursday. If you want to support us on social media, we do have an Instagram and a Threads and a Goodreads at the Bookfix Pod, THEBOOKFIXPOD, and we also have a TikTok at the Bookfix, THEBOOKFIX. Thank you. Okay, so we are going to read some reviews about this book.
We're going to read a positive and a negative review. Yes. Which one do you want?
I'll do positive.
No negativity here. Okay, I'm gonna look through the 2 stars now.
Colleen T. Sullivan gave this a 5 out of 5 and said, brilliant. It captures your attention from the start and holds on to you throughout. The characters come alive on the page and their anguish is felt. It's a visceral experience. You feel as though you are on this journey side by side. That's why I felt very embarrassed because I was there. Thank you.
All right. So there were no reviews with 1 star, so I'm going to read a 2-star review. It comes from Ka. They wrote, I found the premise, world building, and even characters highly highly intriguing in theory, but none of them really lived up to their promise. Although the system of marks caught my interest from the blurb, I felt that the author missed some opportunities to be really creative with it. For instance, I would have loved the marks to correspond to something more interesting than fire, water, air, earth. And I was left with a lot of unanswered questions about how it all works. For instance, do Zadeshi women never touch each other's hands? Or is there something else that prevents the Zadeshi from having same-sex soul bonds? I actually liked both Ruti and Dekala as characters, but the romance between them was unconvincing. It was hard to see what appealed to Ruti about the air, except that she was pretty. Dekala's ruthlessness, while not great for the romance, did make her an interesting character, but I thought her characterization was inconsistent in several places, and overall I would have preferred a stronger sense of her motivations and values. Finally, the pacing of the plot was uneven, with a lot of the action packed into the second half of the book, and I disliked how much of the climax was dependent on concealing the POV's characters' thoughts and plans from the reader. I think this could have been handled better to maintain some suspense without giving the feeling of being disingenuous by withholding crucial information.
Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
That was something we forgot to bring up. The entire idea of why they didn't think same-sex relationships would work, and they both had a moment where they spoke to a lesbian couple, and they were just kind of like, yeah, we were soulbound together, it's not unusual, like it happens. And then they both just had, Dekala and Ruti had a moment, they were like, oh wait, so you can like kiss girls and it's like,
and it's chill,
wait, we're allowed to,
no one's mad about it?
I guess I would have to test it out with someone. I don't know what to call it.
I mean, there's some pretty lips right over here.
Or it's just like,
it's like, oh my god, thank you.
Thank you. That's the sweetest thing you've ever said about me.
You know what's funny? I could have sworn that there were more powers from just the elements. Were there not?
I don't think there was.
It was just...
Honestly, I even forgot this story had powers until you mentioned it. And I was like, thunder.
Thunder, lightning, air, water.
It was just weird to me that they had this idea of powers, but witches could still exist. Like, I would think...
I mean, how often do you need to use a fire power? You know what I mean? Often. How many fire power people do you need in one kingdom?
A lot.
I would understand water if you can drink it, but I don't know.
Where's the water come?
Do you just make it?
Or is it like just created, kind of like Lee Bardugo's, like, you know, small science? Whoa.
Oh my god, small science. Or do you just like pull it from somewhere?
I don't get it, and I don't like it.
Now I have more questions.
Yeah, me too. Would you read something else from this author?
Yeah, I would.
Okay, that's what we're gonna do right now.
No, we're not.